Hi everyone, this is week 26 of the 52-week project. We are halfway there. Today's shot will be of April, my dog. I'm not going to spend too much time in camera raw today. I'm going to be converting this to black and white, but the one thing I wanted to start off here is fixing the white balance. Even though it's not really going to make much of a difference when we go into black and white, I just like to start off with a proper image. So I'm going to start off with the white balance tool here, and I'm going to try and find a neutral area. Click on the background here. That would probably work as well, or something that's as neutral as possible. Gray area in here would work, or over in here. I'll click the back of her neck. As you see, it worked out. Clicking on this makes it a little more yellow. I think I like the bluer look. I don't know. The blue gives it a little bit of a little brighter in the highlights there, which I don't know if I really like. I might have to tone that down a bit, but I'm going to click right around there. And I think it is a little too bright, so I'm just going to lower the highlights down. Bring some of the detail back in here. This, unfortunately, looks like it's completely gone. I'm looking over here at the numbers, which it's not completely blown out. 255 would be completely blown out. It's very close, so there's probably some detail in there. Maybe lower these whites a bit here. And you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it. But even though it's not completely blown out, I'm just going to leave it. And that's it. I'm going to open the object up, bring it into Photoshop. And the first thing I want to do is convert this over to black and white. Now there's a bunch of different methods of turning things into black and white in Photoshop. I'm going to use a gradient map this time. So I'm going to go down here and click on this half black white icon and go to gradient map, and you can choose all different gradients from the gradient menu. Clicking on each one that produces an interesting effect. They all produce a different type of effect, but I'm going to choose the one that goes black to white. Basically what's happening basically what's happening here is it's taking any colors, anything that has a luminance value of 0, and it's going to change it to black, and then the same over at the other end, any values that are lying in this luminance range, it's going to change them to white, and obviously anything in between it will do the same to shades of gray. Alright, so I'm just going to click OK. And one of the things I don't like about it is the background. I'd like to make that brighter. Because she is such a dark dog, she is black and white, but being dark, I think she'll stand out more with a brighter background. So I'm going to create a curves adjustment layer. Go down to the menu here and choose curves, and I'm going to grab the targeted adjustment tool, click on it, and then click in the background here and drag up. And that's pretty much right where I want to be. I'm just looking to get this nice and white in the back here, or I should say whiter than that. Not really white, more of just a brighter shade in the back there. I'm going to click on the mask and grab my brush tool, which I already have, Just switch my mouse out and actually go over to my pen here. I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to set the foreground and background colors by hitting D, make sure it's black and white, and then hitting X to swap out to black. And I'm just going to paint right on her nose so these things aren't blown out. And a little bit on there. Just to bring back that detail that was lost. And all in her hair. Basically what I'm going to hit is all these bright areas. Actually, I kind of like that. Oops. Kind of like that little white there. And get all around the eye. I'm going to zoom in on this part here. There we go. And I'm not too concerned with being neat right now. I'll go back and refine that afterwards. Just trying to get the bright areas. Make the brush a little smaller here. Maybe a little bit on her neck over here as well. It looks like I'm painting black on there, but that's actually the original look of it. Zoom back out a little. Wrong way. Over here. If I let that go too white, I'll start losing detail. Of course, we don't want to lose detail in there, so paint all that back in. Make the brush a little bigger here. Maybe a little bit on the collar. A little clasp of the collar there. I don't want to spend a boatload of time on this. I think you guys, you get the point that I'm trying to make. And of course, you could spend all day doing this. You're tied up in the little bits. Okay. And I'm going to zoom in on her eye here. And okay. Anything I missed here? Nope. Ooh, don't want to do that. I don't think I missed anything here. All right, I'm gonna make another curves adjustment layer, and I'm gonna try and bring some of this highlight down in here. So I'm gonna go over to the curves and targeted adjustment tool again, and just I'm going to click here and just bring that down. No, I don't want to grab it there. Let's see. darker. And yeah, I know that looks really weird, but I'm going to invert the mask on this here. So click on the mask and hit invert. And I'm going to hit F5 to make sure that I have my shape dynamics on. I am using a pressure sensitive pen here. I'm just going to start to paint over some of these hot spots. You know what, maybe I'll turn that off. I'm starting to get little lines in there. There we go, that's much better. I'm just going to paint down some of these highlights here. Maybe a little bit in the nose area too. Bring back some detail. I think that might be a little too dark. Back that off just a little bit. Alright, there we go. Okay. And maybe a little round over on this side of the eye as well. Down the ear. I'm trying to retain some of those brighter areas just so you can see the curves in her head, because she had like these little wrinkles up there. Make this a little smaller, and I'm going to zoom in a little. There we go. X here. I'm going to get rid of this little bit on the sides here. I don't want that coming in. I actually have to go back and clean up these edges over here and the other mask. Maybe I'll click that and do that right now. Doesn't throw me off. Make that white and just paint in there. I'm going to zoom all the way in here. And the hand tool. I have my hand tool bound to one of my one of my buttons on my pen, so I don't have to worry about zooming in and out each time I try to go to the hand tool, which can be very useful if you're trying to jump over large areas when you're zoomed in. I'll show you in a moment what I mean. You see, when I hit it now, it comes with the hand tool, and I can just grab and move it. But if you toggle the hand tool on and off by holding down the H key, it zooms all the way out. Like it shows this now, but when you click and hold, it will zoom out. And you can select the area you want to go to. When you let go, it zooms back into the same zoom ratio that you previously were at. So it's a nice little feature. So for me to head over to the other ear by holding this and dragging, and it just take a long time. So you just hold down your H key, click, and then you can zoom to any region of the image that you'd like. I'll go down in here, fix up this a bit. And I'll hold down H key again, click, and there. I don't know if you just heard that, but my air conditioner just kicked in. Hopefully didn't pick up on the speaker there, on the microphone there in the recording. Alright, I don't want to get too tedious with this. I think everyone gets the point with this. The only other thing I really want to do here is a little dodge and burn to make the eyes stick out a little bit more. So Shift F2, and I'm going to zoom into the eye. Hit O to get the dodge and burn tools, and I shrink it down, and right now I'm on the dodge tool, which will make things brighter as I paint over them. So I'm just going to paint over the highlights here in the eye. And yes, I was on the deck when I took this shot, and you can see that in her eye there. And if you look close enough, see, look at how close I can get. I was actually standing right here. I took the shot. You really can't see me in there. I zoomed in on this to take the shot, but I'm going to paint over this here. And I have the exposure set to midtones, and it's set to the range is midtones, and the exposure is set to 50%. I don't want to blow it out. So I kind of have to keep going over it. I think what I'll do is I'll set it to highlights right now. This way, I'll go over this. It'll get a little brighter faster. My exposure back to midtones, and just go over it a little bit. I think that's alright. That back down to 50%. Just hit 5, and I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and that automatically changes you to the burn tool by holding that down. It's like toggling it on and off, just to add a little contrast in there. A little bigger. And you can see the difference that's making there. And I'll do the same thing with this eye over here. Make this a little smaller. Oop, wrong key. And just paint over that, paint over there. We'll put this over the top of that curves layer. There we go. burn these in black. Darken them down a bit, that's all. And I'm really only going over the areas that are already dark, or the areas that I'd like for it to be just a little darker. I'll make my brush a little bigger. Holding down the Alt key still. Okay. You can see a little before and after. Just added a little life to the eyes. And I did forget to paint back over the hair over here. So I'm going to strip back to my brush tool and paint with white right back on this hair over here, just to tone that down a little bit. Also give a little separation and contrast to the image. Oop, I didn't want that. That didn't look nice. Maybe paint around it a little bit. But there. Maybe leave a little bit of that there. Go over these areas that are shaded here. A little too much for me. Back it off just a little bit. It starts to look really fake, and I really like that, the way it came out there. Just darken that just a little bit. And alright, I think you get the idea. Alright everyone, I'm going to go to full screen here. You know what? Maybe I'll do a little crop here. Let's move this in. I'll get that rule of thirds right there on her eye. And that's it. Zoom in. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.